Washington Wizards are 2-12. Detroit Pistons are 2-13. The Memphis Grizzlies are 3-11. The Spurs are 3-12. But none of these are the worst teams in basketball. I present the Chicago Bulls. And it's not just about record. So let's talk about why mediocrity is worse than being a bad team in the NBA. Now, can't get into it without you subscribing, so subscribe now, subscribe. So, we have to look at the Chicago Bulls from a standpoint and an organizational perspective. We look at the Chicago Bulls historically. I mean, since the Derrick Rose years, they haven't done anything, but we have to look at where they've been going. So, since then, the only star they've had, other than obviously Jimmy Butler, who they thought was too old to become a star, has been Zach LaVine come in. So Zach LaVine came in the trade for... Who did they trade for Zach LaVine? I can't recall. But Zach LaVine came into the Chicago Bulls and became their franchise player quite quickly. And the team was mediocre after that. It was quite average, poor at some points. We saw great performances from Zach LaVine, but he was never good enough to even be the all-star level. You know, when you're in a bad team and you're not winning, you have to have an elevated points per game for you to make the all-star game, or elevated performance for you to make the all-star game, so people can't go, he's contributing to losing basketball. But Zach LaVine didn't do that. And the Chicago Bulls bought in. They went in even deeper. They said, you know what, we want to pair him with an all-star. Let's get an aging all-star in Nikola Vucevic and pair him with Zach LaVine, like that was going to work. And you know what?
I'd like to take this chance to apologize.
It didn't.
To absolutely nobody.
And then they thought, let's buy in even more with this core. And they acquired DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs, and they acquired Lonzo Ball from the Pelicans. This team wasn't bad. I'm going to be so honest. I'm going to say it. The team wasn't good against like good teams, but against the rest of the league, they were decent. I think they were, at one point they were the 1 seed in the East. But then obviously Lonzo got injured and the team fell, ended up getting bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. And yeah, Bulls no more. But they still retained their core and they went for it again last season. Didn't do anything. And they went for it again this year. And it makes you start to question, what is the direction of the Chicago Bulls? They have a decent player in Zach LaVine, a player that can contribute to a good team. He could be good on, I actually don't know, Sixers, but he'd have, I mean, I don't like him next to Maxey, really, because he's a cone. Maxey's an okay defender for his size, to be fair to him. But like, if I want Maxey running the point, I want Maxey scoring, and I don't really want Zach LaVine taking points off of Tyrese Maxey. I'd consider him on the Heat, but considering the fact that Pat Riley wasn't willing to trade for anyone in the world with Tyler Hero. I mean, Damian Lillard, he was like, no, Tyler Hero not in the deal, which obviously makes zero sense whatsoever. But yeah, it makes Zach LaVine pretty hard to trade right now, to be honest. But at the end of the day, he needs to go. Vucevic needs to go. DeRozan needs to go. DeRozan could maybe contribute somewhere, I don't know. DeRozan's lost his mid-range this season, and without DeMar DeRozan's mid-range, what is DeMar DeRozan doing? Vucevic hasn't been good for a couple seasons now. And yeah, it's been telling, he hasn't been an all-star since, I don't know, 2018 maybe?
Accusations! These are not accusations. This is false accusations. And
but, I mean, I guess they're holding on to that point. But I feel like the trade needs to happen now. You know, the Lakers are talking about trading for Zach LaVine. I don't think they have the assets to do that unless they trade away all their depth, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever because, I mean, I've liked Taurean Prince this year. Do you know what I mean? I've liked some of their players that are there, you know. I mean, Gabe Vincent hasn't been great, but you'd have to probably trade Rui in that deal just so that they can recoup value, the Chicago Bulls. I don't think that works. Maybe, I don't know, Max Christie and such. But at the moment, it doesn't make sense for a team to trade for Zach LaVine. Maybe the Magic, you know. Magic is a shout. I didn't even think about that. Who is on the Magic right now that plays shooting guard? It's Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs is a good defender, but you can live with Jalen Suggs off the bench. You know, Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, Zach LaVine, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter. That is a good lineup, defensively and offensively. Orlando Magic, make it happen, man. Make it happen. Whereas the other players, I guess just get rid of them. I would keep Lonzo for now. I know Lonzo will come back, but when you're rebuilding, I mean, it gives Lonzo the time to actually recover from his injury, and I think that works quite well. So I think that works. But the Chicago Bulls right now need to figure out directionally where they're going. They need to pick where they're going. They need to either flick the switch like Michael Winger and Will Dawkins did for the Wizards this year and say, buy Bradley Beal, buy Zach LaVine. Let's change this whole squad, rebuild from the ground upwards. Because with this core and with the attitude and direction of the Chicago Bulls, they're not making the playoffs for at least another 5 years, to be honest. But anyways, if you think any different, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you, man, in a bit. Boom.